Pretenders, Brass in Pocket, BBC Radio Sheffield, and I think we always like to do a bit of this, don't we? Yeah, we're doing a bit of money talk. We do it every Tuesday. Just get advice on the range of things that affect our finances. And I thought we'd pick up on this chat that's going on at the moment around manual and automatic cars that's been in the news recently. And apparently one in four of driving tests in Great Britain have been taken in automatic cars. So that's owing to the growth in popularity of electric vehicles, which don't have manual gearboxes. But where are we going to get the best value in terms of bang for our buck, or bang for our pound, really, automatic or manual? And Scott Dixon's got a little bit of information on this, quite a bit, I'm hoping. He's a consumer and motoring issues expert. What is a consumer and motoring issues expert, Scott, please?
Well, consumer issues cover everything from laptops to faulty cars and washing machines and, everything you buy, goods and services, motoring disputes, parking tickets, and the topic that we're covering now, and, everything that covers everything to do with motoring.
Yeah. So 1 in 4 driving tests in England are being taken in automatic cars, but to hold a full driving licence, you still need to pass your test in a manual vehicle. That's right, isn't it? Yeah,
that's right. And new research has revealed that automatic drivers are paying 84% more for their car insurance. And that's about £1,300 a year compared to £700 for manuals. And the reason for that is apparently automatics and EVs, they usually cost more to repair, and insurers see them as higher risk. So while automatic lessons can feel easier and the cars are easier to drive, the long-term running costs can be much higher.
Right. So in terms of new drivers and the choices that you make about a vehicle, do we feel a manual vehicle's on the way out? Can I ask you that, Scott?
They are, because the move to EVs means that people will be driving automatics in years to come. But one thing you need to bear in mind is the insurance cost at the moment. You're paying virtually double for an automatic. And if you pass on an automatic licence, as you mentioned before, you're stuck with automatics. But if you pass on a manual, you get a full licence and that choice to choose either manual or automatic, for example, if you're on holiday abroad and things like that. So it's something to bear in mind. And, in years to come, I think we will all be driving automatics, but that's a long way off.
Right. Can we talk then about the cost? You mentioned insurance there. What else are we considering? Mending the vehicle, repairing an automatic, more expensive than a manual then?
Yeah, and it comes down to technology and parts and costs. And, older cars, that they're cheaper to run and maintain. I mean, for example, I've got a 2008 Micra and 17-year-old, and there's nothing wrong with it. They're easy to run and maintain, the older cars, but the newer ones are just packed with technology, and it costs more to fix and maintain them. Yeah. And I was looking online, driving lessons apparently in Sheffield, they cost around £25 to £35 an hour. And you need about 40 to 50 lessons to pass a test, apparently. And I mean, it took me down memory lane. Back in 1997, it wasn't cheap back then. It was £7.50 to £8.50 an hour, and it's all relative. I mean, back then it was still a lot of money. Once you've passed the test, the real savings come from shopping around for your insurance. And for younger drivers, you can look for black box policies, which monitor your driving, and also multi-car deals for households.
Right. What about fuel then? Because that is an interesting thing. I mean, I've got a hybrid now, and I think I'm saving, I would say, half a tank a month I'm saving. Is that typical, would you say, Scott?
Yeah, the technology and the hybrids. And I mean, I drove a courtesy car last year, a Nissan Qashqai hybrid, 1.3 litre turbo. And and it was an automatic and beautiful to drive. And they are good on fuel, no denying it. And that comes down to shopping around as well, because if you shop around for fuel, there's an app called Petrol Maps, or you can look online, and even on Google, you can find petrol stations in your local area, and the difference can be up to 20p a litre. Right. So for a small car, it's maybe 40 litres on a tank, and for the SUVs, it can be up to 70 litres. So it does pay to shop around as well.
Rob's got in touch. I said we were going to be talking about this, Scott. Rob's got in touch. He says, I was always manual until my latest car, which I love to drive. It's an automatic Seat Leon in blue. He said Sheffield Wednesday blue. We forgive him for all of that, Scott. Turbo, diesel with a very nippy 1,500, 1,600 engine. The reason I went for auto is because I used to work at a funeral director's driving limousines, and I often exceed 20 miles an hour these days. I think I understand all of that. I'm not sure if I do. In terms then of, you said, if you drive an automatic, even if it's not a hybrid, chances are you're going to save money on petrol.
Yeah, you will do.
Or diesel?
Yeah, diesel, they're better for longer journeys, and whereas petrol, they're better for shorter journeys. And the reason why is you've got what's called a DPF filter, and it's an emissions filter, and they get clogged up on shorter journeys. So what advice is, go for diesel if you're doing longer journeys, and go for petrol because for more shorter journeys and for running around the doors.
Right, we'll continue this conversation. I'm talking to motoring issues expert Scott Dixon. He does the consumer stuff as well. So if there's anything you want to throw in there about a decision you're about to make, or a decision you've made and some experience you've gathered from driving either a manual or an automatic car, if you want to tell me what's best for your pocket, you can get in touch. Brian says manual, Glenn says automatic always. Simon says automatic is easier but much more expensive and much harder to find. I gave up and stuck with manual, as I've done so for 35 plus years of driving. So get in touch, let me know what you think. I'm quite curious. 0800 111 49 49, or text through to 81333 starting your message with Sheffield, please. We have been talking about the difference between a manual car and an automatic car, and whether it has a bigger impact on our pockets, whether there's a difference in terms of how we spend our money. I'm talking to Scott Dixon about this. He is a consumer and motoring issues expert, so he's got his credentials. And we've talked about the maintenance of automatic cars being generally more expensive. We've said that we could be saving on fuel. Did we draw that conclusion, Scott? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's right. And, to put things into perspective, I think it just depends on your mileage and your lifestyle. So, for example, I've got a 1200cc Nissan Micra, and it does around about 45 to 50 miles a gallon. And that's not bad for a 17-year-old car. So, and I only do 1,600 miles a year. So I think it's just you've got to factor in your lifestyle, your mileage, and decide on whether you want manual, automatic. If you just run around the door, sometimes you might just want to go for an automatic because you want to be constantly changing gears and things like that. So, but there's different things to think about, as well as the cost of the insurance and general running costs as well.
If you drive a manual car, you've stuck to manual so far, and you decide, the next one has to be an automatic. Can you get lessons separately? Can you just say I have 2 or 3 lessons to learn? It was like I don't know if you heard me mention earlier, Scott, that the person who sold my car to me actually took me on the driving test because I was so nervous about driving an automatic, and he was saying, well, it's easier than the one that you're driving now. You should always take your own test, car for its own test drive, shouldn't you, really?
Yeah, you should. And and if you pass your test in an automatic, that's what you're stuck with. But if you pass your test in a manual, you've got the option to drive manuals and automatic. But yeah, if you're test driving a car, I would suggest you take somebody else with you as well. So and keep the radio off so you can listen for any knocks and bangs and any unusual noises and get a good feel for it.
Right. And with automatics, you said about the maintenance being more expensive. Is it always easier with an automatic to go back, to the original person who's, especially if it's a showroom, to that person, rather than just having your mate's mate who's a mechanic have a look at it?
I think it depends on the age of the car, to be honest, Paulette. If it's a nearly new car, I would suggest going with a main dealership, and you get what you pay for, and you have peace of mind, or you should have peace of mind with a proper dealership. Whereas with older cars, you can maybe deviate and just go with a tried and trusted garage locally. And the local mechanics, the tried and trusted local mechanics, they are cheaper. And I'll just ask your friends and family what they suggest. And with newer cars, I would prefer to use the main dealerships. But with older cars, maybe just a local garage that you can rely on.
Yeah, main dealerships can be expensive as well. That's another, bit of a strain on our pockets. And before I let you go, have you got any tips on saving money when it comes to lessons then? Automatic lessons cheaper than manual ones?
Well, automatic lessons will cost more, but what you can do is you can bulk buy the lessons. So shop around and look at the reviews, look at what people say about the instructors. And I think it's just doing your homework, really. And my advice for all, we're moving in the direction of EVs and autos in years to come. My advice would be to try and pass your test in a manual so you've got the choice.
The option.
Especially, for example, if you go on holiday abroad and you've got the option to drive a manual or an automatic, and you're not just stuck with automatics.
Yeah, I like an automatic, but I find it boring. If I'm doing a long journey, there's not that much to do. And it's like riding a go-kart. It's like, being in the bumper cars at a fair, and it feels a bit odd. I mean, I like the ease of it, and it has helped with my hip, which has been giving me some trouble, Scott. I know you're not interested, but I'm just saying. But it has really helped with that.
Yeah, and I think it's horses for courses. I prefer a manual because I think it's more engaging to drive a manual car and more fun to drive, dare I say it, than just an automatic where you just stick it into drive and the car does all the work for you. But I mean, it just depends on your personal preferences and your lifestyle, really.
Right, yeah, and you did say insurance is cheaper on a manual than an automatic. It's so interesting that, because you just do, there's so much going on with a manual. I don't know. I'm quite confused by that.
Well, my insurance is due in around about 26 days' time. I've got to start shopping around tomorrow. And 26 days in advance is what's considered to be the sweet spot for shopping around for your car insurance. And again, look at what people say online about the car insurers. Cheapest isn't always best, and you get what you pay for.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure we'll talk to you again because these cars can be expensive to run and to get our heads around. So thank you very much, Scott Dixon, consumer and motoring issues expert, just helping us to fathom whether it's cheaper rather to have an automatic or a manual car. I'm curious to know what you think about this, so do get in touch. 0800 111 49 49, or you can text through to 81333, starting your message with Sheffield.